All right. Welcome everybody to the Create Your New Life Real Estate Training. Got a little started late today, but got some exciting things to discuss. I had a couple of meetings this morning, so uh, we're gonna get it going now. All right. So welcome to the Create Your New Life Real Estate Training. We do every Thursday at 11:30. Powered by Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. So we're excited to be back live again. We're going to be continuing our conversation concerning working with sellers. So before we get into that, I call this one Showtime because that's what time it is. Like we've made the initial conversation. We've made the initial phone call, so we've had our initial conversation. We've connected with the seller. We've gotten them to agree to allow us to meet with them. We've gone through preparing for the appointment to position ourselves so the seller will choose us. And now it's showtime. It's time for us to go, and it's time for us to show up. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on today's session. So first of all, I want to thank all those that are not Brooks and Davis agents, sending it out to people that are not necessarily agents. You don't have to be an agent to see the week's training, but to have access to all those that are recorded, then you got to join the family, join the team, join the winning team, Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. But we absolutely want to thank you guys for tuning in for this week. We added a lot of people to our email list from those individuals at the career fair that we had. We'll talk about that a little later. Again, at any point, if you want to stop me and engage, if you want to ask questions, I like the dialogue. The goal is not necessarily for me to be online talking the whole time. So please, if you have questions, you want to chime in, you have any comments about what we're talking about, please do so. So like always, we're going to start with what kind of production that we had this week. So let me go ahead and cue that up. And we shall get this thing going. So production this week, we're at 4.3 million. And again, production is fully executed contracts between buyers and sellers. So right now we're at $4.3 million. We're a little down from last week, but that's cool. We're going to keep cranking it out. We're going into our slow season. So anybody, so you're going to have to put in some extra effort, some extra work to recoup those numbers that we're familiar with doing on a monthly basis. So just keep in mind, keep chugging along to get through the slow period. We've had a lot of movement when it came to our top 5 producing agents. So as of today, we have a new number 1. So our new number 1 is Brandy Williams, one of our newer agents. And then she replaced Kim, who is now number 3. She dropped a little bit, but she's number 3. And then we have Ricardo's number 2, Carolyn and Mashana, who is now in our top 5. She replaced Sydney Ely, who actually closed on her deal this week. So congratulations, Sydney. And but with the closing, without adding anything new, she's fallen off as one of our top 5 agents, which is okay. You always have an opportunity week per week to get your name in lights. So you want to get your name in lights. So let's see, how are we doing when it comes to our little contest? And I don't think we're doing too good. Because see, we're supposed to be at, well, as you all, there's only one more week left, and we got to get it in gear. Let's see, I'm neglected to change my numbers, so I want to change my numbers before I show them to you. Because the good thing is that we did add something over the week, which is good. We added some production, which is good, but not enough for where we need to be as of today. All right. So let's see. All right, so that's done. It's a good thing about Google is that you can make your adjustments midstream. All right, so where should we be as of October 5th? Since the contest ends in 3 days, we should be at 4.1 million. and we are at 2 million. So we're over $2 million short on being able to reach our goal as a team for anybody to win the Texan tickets. So we got 3 days. I believe in you. I think you guys can come together and in 3 days put up $2 million worth of production on my board. Given that, which means getting people under contract, buyers that you're working with, getting them to commit and get them under contract, sellers that you're promoting, getting an offer negotiated, maybe something that you've been going back and forth with, getting it solidified so we can get it onto the board. I believe you guys can do it over the next 3 days. So when Mr. Brooks's birthday gets here, we can all be happy and celebrating because we have Texan tickets. But that's what we need to do, gang, to get there for somebody. As of right now, Brandy Williams is the person that's on top, so she would get the tickets if we came up with the 2 million. But that's what we need to do. So, all right, let's look at our event that we had on last Friday, our career fair. I think we did an excellent job. We first of all want to thank as well as congratulate those that participated. So we had Laquana, Shalanda, Terry, Latanya. Those guys, man, those guys were on it when it came to recruiting, when it came to telling people about Brooks and Davis, as well as showing them the benefit of being a part of our organization, a part of our team. They did an excellent job. We signed up 50 people that we were able to add to the things that we're doing, our shows. This is a post on Mr. Brooks's page that shows a little bit of some of the pictures. Just a little picture reel of how it was set up and, you know, how we all came together and really worked to do a really good job when it came to this event. So again, very, very proud of those that participated, as well as now they're in a position because, you know, they laid claim to the people that they talked to, who they signed up, that as Brooks and I do our follow-up, we set our meetings, as we continue to keep these individuals exposed to the great things that we're doing here at Brooks and Davis, those individuals that were at the career fair now have an opportunity to tap into the Realtor Recruitment Rally and qualify for that 5% override forever of those individuals. So it was just a matter of showing up, engaging, and helping us get to our 50 agents by the end of the year. We're running out of time. We have 2 months. We're currently at 45. So we need 5 more people and no more people to leave for us to hit our goal. And I'm pretty sure I know we can do it. So it's just a matter of getting it done. Let's see. We have our Home Buying Lifestyle Expo. Here's another opportunity, right? I did the video around how to maximize at an exhibit booth. So, you know, the goal is to have between 500 and 1,000 people attend this event. I've already signed up for my classes that I'm going to be facilitating and speaking. So again, during my classes, I'm going to encourage individuals to visit our booth and visit all the other booths that are there. So here's again an opportunity for not only you to pick up agents, because there are going to be other agents in the building, but an opportunity for you to pick up actual leads, actual buyer leads, actual seller leads. So it's the same setup the way it was for the career fair. This event's happening in about 10 days. So here's the bit.ly link. You click on the link and it's going to take you to the sign-up sheet. So all you have to do is identify what time frame. So we just need 2 people per hour. So we're only asking for at least an hour, right? And if you can work more, like some of our people worked more at the event, and this is on a Saturday. If you can work more, please sign up for, you know, as many hours as you can. But you got to show up. Do not sign up if you're not going to make it. But just 2 people per hour. And if we run out of space when it comes to this sign up and, you know, people are still interested, depending on, you know, just let me know. Still reach out to me, and I'm pretty sure we can make something work as far as having more people there. But the event is from 10 to 5, well, 10 to 4. So we'll need a setup and we'll need a breakdown opportunity as well. So, all right. So that's a great opportunity as well for you guys to do some lead generating. And again, our Realtor Recruitment Rally is still in place. So you get 5% override, the best way to recruit. is like different events like the career fair or the housing fair that we're having. You're speaking to agents, get their email address, get their cards, get that information to me so I can put them on our, in our, as a part of our audience. Because like I said, we send out the email inviting people to the trainings. When we have different events, like we did at the, at the title company last Monday, which was an excellent event. We invite people to those things, and we need their information. So that's a great way for you to connect. So all you have to do is just meet them, get their contact information, get them to us, and let us do the hard work as far as following up with them and staying engaged and having content that those individuals be interested in. So we just need you to kind of be our mouthpiece. Okay, I didn't have any pictures of the event that we did on Monday. I apologize for that, but that was an excellent event. Hopefully you guys are following myself or following Mr. Brooks on social media, and you can see, the pictures, or you saw the posts. We had about 11 or 12. I think we had 12 agents in all that attended that event. It was some great information from Ronnie Matthews. Ronnie Matthews has done over 15,000 transactions since he's been in real estate. 15,000. So there was some great knowledge that guy was dropping on us while we were there. We got some free food, able to build a relationship with a title company. So all in all, it was an excellent event. I have another event that's coming up in November, November 8th. It's going to be with 210 Home Warranty, and they're going to be doing a session here at our office. So you guys be looking out for information coming down the pipeline for that as well. But we're going to continue to crank out different items and issues that we know will be a benefit to you guys. I'm really working on something really, really great, a new development program, a new agent development program, which I'm looking to launch here, before the end of the year. We're going to be launching a new development program that's going to be open to all of the agents. And the goal of it is if you didn't make $70,000 of gross commissionable income last year, the goal of this program is to put you on track within a 90-day time frame, to put you on track. So for your next 12 months, you will make at least $70,000. And that's at least $70,000. Because my philosophy is that if you get into this business and you don't at least desire to make $70,000 or more, my philosophy is that you should go get another career. You should get another job. Because as hard as it is to generate income in real estate, it's so hard that there are easier jobs that you can do and make $40,000, $50,000. Like, there are easier jobs. So if that's all you want to make, there's no point in putting in all this energy and all this effort for such an amount like that. So if you don't want at least $70,000 in this business, you should go do something else. But if you want $70,000, you have to understand that there are things that you're going to have to do. There are activities that you're going to have to do every day consistently that other agents are not doing, because the average agent makes $40,990. That's per the most recent statistics from the United States Labor and Statistics Department. $40,990. That's what the average agent makes. And a lot of you have been in real estate long enough, and you've been exposed to realtors long enough to see what all they do. Working long hours, not returning phone calls, not lead generating, just kind of using the flexibility to their detriment. We see what they're doing, and now even working all day, working all long hours, not organized, not using the calendar, not using technology, not using resources. We see what they do, and now we know they only make $40,000 a year. So if we're talking 70, you can imagine the extra or the different. You can't do what everybody else is doing. You can't do the activities and spend your time the way that everybody's spending it, because they're only making 40 grand. So it's going to have to happen. So here, before the end of the year, we're going to be launching that new program that is a signature to only Brooks and Davis real estate firm. I've completely created it from nothing, like zero. There was nothing that exists. It wasn't somebody else's training program that we've modified. It was completely from nothing that we've designed this thing specifically to get you all on track to make 70 grand over the next 90 days. So I'm extremely excited about it. We got a couple of agents that's in beta test mode right now. So that's helping me work out the kinks when it comes to it. But once it goes live, for those that want to take part, be ready because it's going to be an exciting time. Okay. So that's just a couple of things that are coming down the pipeline that I wanted to make mention of here today. So let's talk a little social media 101. So social media 101. So we went to an event on Wednesday, and it was the Houston Black Real Estate Association, the expo that we're having here in the last 10 days. There was a launch luncheon. And at that launch luncheon, where they were introducing the expo, had some of the sponsors come out with tables. They brought in, it was a collaboration with BB&T and Freddie Mac. So Freddie Mac, who is the secondary market lender, not to belabor just a session on explaining what that all means, but just know that they're a major player when it comes to mortgage funding. So they're the ones that actually fund your retail banks like BB&T when it comes to the mortgages. So they came down, they've launched a new product that they're pushing through their partners like BB&T, Bank of America, some of the others. So the Tamala Hartsfield, who's their regional manager for these programs, came and gave a presentation. It was sponsored by BB&T. So these are some of the people, these are some of the players that were in the building. So Sandra Braswell, she's the Senior Vice President for Mortgage and CRA. CRA stands for Community Reinvestment Act funds. Fair housing lending. She's the manager for the entire United States. She flew down from North Carolina to attend this event. So she's a heavyweight in the building. And then you have, again, Tamala Hartsfield, and she's the affordable lending manager when it comes to the region for Freddie Mac. So she's a heavy hitter. And then we have Al Coleman. He's with the FDIC. He's the community affairs specialist. So these are some heavy hitters to pad your database, right? We're talking about database. We're talking about, you know, you're only as strong as the people that are in your database. You're only as strong as your network. So there are ways to draw people of high influence into your network. And here's one of the ways to do it. So we attend this event. I don't know these people prior to the event. I don't know any of them. Well, first of all, while I'm sitting there, I already have in my mind, because we're talking about networking. Remember where I did the session that networking is a noun, not a verb? So I already have in my mind that I'm going to participate in the network at this event. So I identify some individuals that I feel would be great in my network for me to have access to, for me to build relationships with. So I identify these three people. So after the event is gone, because Sandra Braswell gave a presentation, so that's how I was able to get an idea of kind of what her stock was. And then again, Tamala Hartsfield gave the actual presentation. So I knew that these were individuals that I needed to get business cards from. So before I even got Sandra Braswell's business card, when she said her name, I went to LinkedIn on my phone and I found her on LinkedIn. See, Vice President at BB&T. And I sent her a connection. Before I even got her card, I sent her a connection, right? And I did the same thing for Tamala Hartsfield. So I went to try to find her. This is in the event while they're on stage, while they're talking, because I know I want to build a relationship with them, right? So I sent the request in LinkedIn. I tried to find them on Facebook and Twitter. And again, I'm doing all of this from my phone. So that's why it's extremely important that you get all of this stuff set up on your phone. I mean, at this point, again, I'll say it again, paper is obsolete. And the desktop computer and laptop computer is becoming obsolete as well. I mean, there's so much that you can do with your phone that'll allow you to be so much more effective. And by being effective, you'll be able to get so much more done, so much more accomplished. You know, real estate's a numbers game. So you got to be able to get through the numbers quickly. But so I threw on my phone, tried to find on Facebook, found on LinkedIn, before I even got the business cards. So now, once the event is over, because when they see these requests, they're not going to know who I am because I've never met them before. But I just went ahead and got it out the way. Now, the reason that I did it, because I knew once the event was over, I was going to go formally introduce myself, of which I did. So I intentionally went up to each of them And I introduced myself, how I'm, Michael G. Davis. I was intentional. I mean, I maybe said a joke or something. Is this your first time being in Houston? I think that's what I said to Sandra. This is your first time being in Houston. You stay down here too long, you'll never want to leave. Something like that to make them laugh, because I want to make myself memorable, right? So I do that. I get their business card, because some people don't have business cards when they're in that level. They don't have business card, but luckily they both have one. So I got their business card. Then I walk away, but it's good because I've already. So now when they get my posts through social media, if they're on it, they're gonna accept it because they're gonna recognize who I am, right? So I went from not knowing them at all to just simply sending them a request on social media, introducing myself at the thing. So, and sure enough, before the end of the day, now Sandra, I don't know how active she is on LinkedIn because she don't have a picture, but I did send a request and it's still pending. But Tamala, before the end of the day, she accepted my friend request. Matter of fact, I think it was within the hour. And I reached out to her on Facebook and I reached out to her on LinkedIn, and she accepted both of those requests. So now, as I'm sending my posts, as I'm doing my social media, it's gonna show up on her timeline all the great things that I have to say as a real estate professional, all the great insight that I give. That's why the content is so important, because I need her now that I've hooked her, I need her to continue to pay attention to me. And I do that with content, right? So, that's a little bit of social media 101. I like having these little quick sessions when it comes to social media to make sure that you guys are using it the proper way, because there are two thoughts when it comes to social media. One thought is that it don't work at all, so don't waste your time with it. And then the other thought is that it works, like you should pour everything into it. All you should do is social media, period. Right? So there are those two thoughts going on with it. The thing is that you got to understand how to use both. You got to understand how to utilize it, how to make it work. Right? You absolutely have to use social media because it's too easy for you to, like I said, build connections. From a social standpoint, it's too easy to do it if you do it the right way, right? And we're not talking Facebook ads, although I think Facebook ads are good to use. It's a new marketing tool that, when compared to farming and mail outs and things like that, it's a lot more affordable. So I get that, but there's a way to generate leads by just being, organically through building your social media audience, right? There's a way to do it. That's going to be a part of the development program. So, again, just wanted to talk a little bit to you about, little social media 101. Okay, so now before we go into our talk, before we go into Showtime, boom, I want to go back again a little bit about the language of sales, because I think that's important when it comes to now being in the seller's home and speaking to them. I think that's important. So we're going to go through that a little bit before we get right into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. Okay. So remember, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the languages that we need to change ourselves. We need to change our conversations. We need to differentiate ourselves away from other agents. Remember that average agent is only making $40,000 a year. So we have to differentiate ourselves from those agents. And one way that we can do that is through the way that we talk, or through understanding the language of sales. So now when we're talking about the language of sales, we're talking about, vocabulary. We're talking about dialogue. So we're talking about, instead of saying initial property consultation, instead of saying listing appointment, because that's what everybody says. Everybody says listing appointment. Well, instead of us saying, so that means we have to come up with a new term, right? So, I've been using this term maybe for the last, it was the year after Hurricane Ike, that was 2008 to 16. So for the last 8 years, I've been using this term. and it's initial property consultation. See, everybody wants to be consulted. Everybody wants to be trained, right? So, um, initial property consultation instead of listing appointment. All right, and again, this isn't the end of this isn't the whole list of the terms. It's just a couple of them. Just to give you an idea of, you can come up with your own terms to describe certain things. So instead of saying comps, comparables, because again, that's everybody uses that. You say market evidence. So that's your market evidence is what is a comp or comparable properties. It's your market evidence. It's the evidence that we're going to use to determine our point when it comes to the transaction that we're going to do. CMA, that's a common term that we're always using. CMA. Well, instead of saying CMA, we could say equity evaluation. See, doesn't that sound so much more professional when it comes to dealing with your sellers? Equity evaluation. So you pull out the equity evaluation, you pull out the market evidence. You're going on the initial property consultation, right? So here's one talks about it's called a success fee, right? So people are going to ask you, well, how much do you charge to list? Well, what's your listing fee? What's your listing commission? What's your commission, right? Well, we don't we don't charge anything to list, right? Because if we do marketing, put on the MLS, put the sign, put the lockbox, we do all of that. We don't get a check for doing all those activities. So say we do a 3-month listing or a 6-month listing, and go 6 months, we don't sell it, and we're out of contract, and they go and they use another agent. We don't get any reimbursement for the money that we've spent. So we don't get paid unless we're successful. So we call it a success fee. So when a person asks you, how much do you charge to list? You say nothing because you don't charge anything to list. Um, what you tell them is that, we'll go and we'll put your house on the market. We'll use the MLS, put on the MLS. We'll put the sign in the yard. We will put the lockbox on the door. We will, put on internet sites, all the things that we do to market, and transact. We'll do all of those things, and we don't charge you any kind of fee. So yet when we get to the point to where we identify a buyer and we negotiate terms and we go through the transactional process and we become successful in selling the home, then our success fee is 6%. See how that works? See, you're differentiating yourself from all the other terminology and all the other agents. You're elevating yourself on a different platform of professionalism when compared to other agents, right? So then look at some of the other terms. Instead of listing agreement, employment agreement. They're hiring you. Instead of buyer's rep agreement or BRA or buyer's rep. See, we like to use those terms and acronyms that just the regular everyday person doesn't understand what any of that stuff means. That's the terminology of our industry. So they don't understand it. So employment agreement, instead of listing agreement. Instead of saying problems, nobody wants problems. We have some challenges, right? Whenever you introduce something, don't say we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Usually we have a challenge because see, challenges can be overcome. And then we say, instead of saying no, like you want to be nice. You want to be nice when you say no. So put the word unfortunately in it. Like it's like, I don't know what it is about that word, but unfortunately just kind of paddens the blow. So like if you have some bad news or you have something that you got to tell your client or even no. So, just use unfortunately. Wow, I am, I'm glad that you asked that.
What happened? What happened? No, I have not moved. Somebody called, and then it wouldn't answer. No. No.
The phone goes to them.
I mean your phone. For the hangouts. Oh shit. Okay. Nope. Okay, now's the dial tone. Not on this.
We had
Hi,
some
it's
technical
April
technical
Day Real Estate
difficulties,
Time.
but we're back. Look at that. Okay. All right. So we're back, and it's still recording. So I guess it's all good in the hood. So we're talking about my pleasure and thank you. The language. We're talking about the habits. All right. So we went through all of that. So okay, perfect. All right. So now let's go into. Let's now go into. We're at the client's house. What do you do, when you get to the house? Right? And I know it sounds like extremely basic, yet it's not basic. Like it is very difficult to get someone and to agree to pay you 6% of anything, right? It's difficult to get you to it's difficult to get people to part from their money, like, period. That's challenging. So you got to be uh, prepared. You have to be skilled when getting people to agree to pay us, even if it's a success fee, even if it's you don't get your money until you perform. Like, even with that structure or that setup, it's challenging to get people to agree. Uh, and unfortunate, as real estate professionals, we just have the stigma of not getting it done. Like, there's such a lack of professionalism when it comes to our industry that unfortunately we have to overcome a lot of those circumstances when it comes to doing and working this business. So we have to be above and beyond when it comes to being successful. I mean, being a professional and being experts at our business. So we're going to talk about that today. So we're going to talk about the initial consultation. Now, so where do I want us to start? So I want us to start by going pretty much going to your 7 dot training folder. So here's your 7 dot training folder. We all know what that is, right? And again, if you don't have access to your 7 dot training folder, please tell me so I can make sure that you get access to it. This is your Bible. This is your playbook. You're going to need this. Okay? So I need you to be able to access it. When you go to your 7 dot training folder, here are your processes. So right here, we're in processes for working with sellers. All right, so we're going to go there, and it's all lined up. And then we're going to go here to the process for working with sellers. This is all written out. It's all lined out from beginning to end, from initial phone call to close. We've laid it out. We've written it out, right? So start there, right? So you click on that, and it's going to pull you here. It's going to open this up for you. And again, this is only for Brooks and Davis agents. So if you're taking a look at this and you're not a Brooks and Davis agent, you don't have access to all of this. But this is something that we offer as a company. Okay, so it's completely written out. So this is where we are in our process and our talk as far as working with sellers. So we've received the call. We've gone through the pre-qualification questions and the listing pre-qualifying sheet. We've encouraged the customer to meet with us. They've agreed. We prepared for the appointment. So these are all the things that we prepared and put in our packet. So now we're going on the appointment. So this is where we are now in the process, going on the appointment. Okay, so if we go to initial property consultation folder in your 7-Dot training folder, there's a host of resources that we're going to use today in preparing and understanding how that appointment works. See, this appointment is different than the buyer's appointment. See, when you look at the working with buyers video and you look at the initial buyer consultation, it's completely and totally different than what we're going to do here. Okay, it's completely different. So there's a script right here that I want you guys to study. And not only is there a script, there's an actual video where it's an audio. It's a video of an audio of a person speaking and going through the script. So when you're talking about going on listing appointments, you have to practice, right? You have to role play. You have to make sure that you're comfortable in delivering the script, because now you're an actor, right? You're on stage, you're performing. You're performing for the seller. That's why I call it Showtime, because you're doing a performance. And any person that's going to be going on a performance or doing a performance where they're going to be in front of people, that you're going to be acting, you're going to be presenting, you have to practice. Like, you know, when we see Barack Obama does his State of the Union speeches, he practices before, you know, he practices on gestures. You know, there are different gestures that he may want to use to emphasize. There's different tonality. There's different pauses. Like it just doesn't happen. He's intentional about practicing. You know, you look at a Denzel Washington or Tom Cruise. You know, they got both of them have new movies coming out. They don't just show up on set and turn the cameras on and go, improv. They practice. They've had training. They're skilled in performance. So that's the same thing here when you're preparing to go to your initial property consultation. There's a script and there's an audio of a person delivering the script. And over these next couple of weeks or so, I'm going to be going through it on the video. We're going to be walking through it. So you have access to everything that you need to self-educate yourself and prepare you to be successful when going on initial property consultations and getting more sellers. Okay, so here's, we open up the script. So here's the script. And I said, at your leisure, you go in there and you listen to that audio. So the opening. This is the opening of the script. It's imperative that you be on time. I can't emphasize that enough. Most of the bounce at I'm not saying 1 minute late, 2 minutes late. I'm saying on time. So it's imperative that you be on time, because a part of your script entails you subliminally letting the seller know that you're a timely person, right? So you need to be there 5 minutes early, right? Because what you want to do is that when it's time to go in there and meet with them, and you ring the doorbell and they answer the phone, you're going to say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. whatever their name is. So we'll say Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm Michael G. Davis with Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. And we had an appointment at 12:20, and it is 12:20 sharp. So you're being subliminal about letting them know that you're timely. And it would be good if you had a watch on or you had your phone and you actually made the gesture of looking at your watch or looking at your phone. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have on a watch. Here's my watch. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm Michael G. Davis with Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. And we had an appointment at 12:21 and it's 12:21 sharp. May I come in? See? Boom. Because what's going to happen is that when you do that, you shake their hand and you say, hey, we had an appointment at 12:21 and it's 12:21 sharp. They're going to chuckle a little bit, right? Making sure that it's lighthearted, right? Not so serious, so tough. Boom. We had an appointment. It's 12:21 sharp. May I come in? And then you ask to come in. So that's another part of the script. Now, the items that are in orange are not a part of the script. They are just our little notes, so you can understand what portion of that part is. It just kind of explains how that part is being utilized in the script, right? So it just says it's just reiterating what I'm saying, that this is an indirect way to show the sellers that you're prompt and that you're a person of your word. When you say you're going to do something, you do it, right? So that's a good way to show that. All right. So then again, you ask once you say that part, you ask them, "May I come in?" Right. So then here's the next part of your script. Thanks for inviting me over. I'm excited that you decided to list your house with me today. Correct? Now, most of them, especially for sale by owners, they're gonna say, well, we'll see. Well, let me hear what you have to say, or not yet. We have some more people that we want to interview. So they're gonna say when you say that, thanks for inviting me over. I'm excited that you decided to list your house with me today. They may give you a response like that. So whatever they say, it doesn't matter unless they say yes. If they say yes, pull the paperwork out, sign it, and get back in the car. But most of the time, they're not gonna say that. But then whatever they say, just say just check it, right? Just check it. Right now, look, that's gonna do a couple of things. First of all, right? A lot of us are hesitant on asking for the business, right? We're afraid of, we're anxious about it. So it just gets it out the way up front. Like they're already, so they get it that you're going to ask for their business at the end of all this. Like you're not just here to give advice. You're not just here to, take a tour of their house and look through it. No, you're here for a reason. So you're gonna list your house with me today tonight, and then whatever they say, you say just check it. Now this second part is important. Can I have a cup of water? Now the reason that you ask for a cup of all great deals are made where? At the kitchen table. It's a comfort because when they go in the kitchen, you're going to follow them in the kitchen, and then you're going to put your stuff down. So you don't want to be meeting in the living room. You don't want to meet in the dining room. Like you want to meet in the kitchen because that's a place of comfort for the seller. Uh, so that's why you ask for a glass of water. Now you'll probably take a sip of it, just because you did ask for it. So take a sip of the water. But that's why you want to do it. You want to be at the kitchen table with them, talking business. So now, and then again, in the little orange, it tells you this will force them to take you into the kitchen. This is where you want to set up your conversation. Now, once you're in the kitchen, And I don't know what's going on with this setup today. But like we just picked up a listing yesterday and it didn't take any time because I sent the listing agreement DocuSign, had a conversation with the seller this morning, and in 2 to 3 hours to a matter of moments, it takes skill. So doing this script like this is going to help you get through it a lot faster and still get the listing agreement. All right, so the next thing is to walk through the house. You guys looking at my ugly mug. I need you to look at the form. Okay, so this is how you set up the looking at the house. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I would like to take a quick look through your house so I can see it from the eyes of a buyer since you won't be here during showing. To buyers, trust me, it won't take long. I've done this so many times and I'll see everything a buyer will see. I'll take notes throughout. We showed the notes benefits form the last session. Remember, I told you I was going to show you how to use these forms. So here's your notes benefits form. That's in your 7-dot training. So now, when you make this statement, I'll see everything about showing them this form. This is the form that you're going to take notes on. So they understand that you're just not pulling one over on. You're really going to take notes. And then take some notes while you're going through. All right, so then he says, I'll take notes throughout. And then if you decide to list with me, you can point out all the things in the house that make it special to you. All right, so now you still want to leave the door open for them to come look at, to still show you some stuff. Because the thing about sellers, they've been probably waiting all day for the agent to come by because there's all these wonderful things that they want to point out to show them, right? Well, all we're saying is that we're not going to do that until you sign a dotted line. But once you sign a dotted line and you hire me, then we're going to take some time and you can point that stuff out to me. All right? Now, I said this last week. Unless you give them something to do, they are going to follow you. So you have to give them something to do. So that's why we have the seller survey. So that's where we go to the second part. It will only take a few minutes. And while I look at the home, please fill out this seller survey so we can save you time today. Won't that be great? All right. Now, a lot of people don't like to use scripts because it says it makes them sound like a robot. I get it. Nobody wants to sound like a robot. But what scripts do is that scripts ensure that you're saying all the right things and you're saying it when it needs to be said, and you are you're saying the right things, you're saying it when it needs to be said, and it keeps you on track, right? It allows you to be efficient. Now, when I was doing this, I eventually got to the point to where I memorized it. I eventually got there. It took some time for me to get there. It didn't happen overnight, me being able to memorize verbatim this script right here. Until I memorized it verbatim, though, it allowed me to use it as a guiding post, right? I was able to, and again, I made it fun. Like I imagined myself an actor preparing for a big role in a play. Like I just kind of prepared myself. I spent time just going through it daily until I got it during my role play time, right? So it just, make it fun. Understand that it is going to increase your bottom line if you're more skilled in delivering this script when you're in front of sellers. See, what it's going to do is it's going to take away the fear of for sale by owners and the fear of expireds. See, like scripts give you confidence. It gives confidence to you that you'll be successful and effective. Like you'll get a little swag. We like to use the word swag, right? It's gonna give you some swag when you use these scripts. So, this pre-listing, this listing appointment consultation script, it's a powerful tool, man. It's a powerful resource. So you hand them the seller survey. That's what I was pulling out, the seller survey. Not that one. Here we go. So you hand them the seller survey. And the seller survey is, again, giving them something to do. So they're not following you. So while they're filling this out, you're going to go look at the house. You're going to take your notes and you're going to do what you need to do to get through that, and give them some time to fill it out. Don't rush through it. Don't rush through your tour. Take your time. They're busy. They got a pen. They're filling out the form. So they're good for right now. All right. So now it says when you come back and sit at the table. So you come back, right? And then y'all sit at the table. You take a look at the survey quickly and thank them for filling it out, right? And then say something like, you have a great house here. So it gives us an example of what to say. And again, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be this every single time, but it just gives you something. So you come back, you sit down, and you say, hey, you have a great house. Always compliment the house. People are sensitive about it. So compliment the house. I mean, there's some great things that you can find out about the house. Pull them out, and say something. Say it. Point it out to them. Like, it's not, you don't have to lie. Like, even if you don't like the house, there's something in the house. There's something in everybody's house that you could appreciate. So you just identify what that is. You be intentional about it. You point it out, and then you tell them, hey, you have a great house. Thanks for filling out the survey. So that's how you thank them for filling it out. All right. So now, here are my 3 goals. Now, I've talked about these 3 goals. Remember, these 3 goals are also in the listing pre-qualifying questions. And now, when we talked last week about preparing for the appointment, what's wrong with this thing? Let's see. Okay, so when we, right here on your pre-qualifying questions, remember, these are the questions that we're going to ask them when they agree to list with us. On the top of that, we have 3 goals and we have 3 critical questions. Now, this is where this comes into play. When you're on the phone with them at the time, getting them to answer these questions, don't worry about these, because you're going to use this when you're in front of them. And again, you only have to use it until you actually remember what the 3 goals and the 3 critical questions are. So what it does is it just helps you as you're getting to the point to where you're memorizing the script. So they're here because, remember, you're going to print this out and you're going to take it with you to the initial property consultation. So when you go back to the script, after you thank them for filling out the survey, this is how you go into the 3 goals and the 3 critical questions. All right, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have a great deal of respect for you and your investment of time. In fact, we have 3 goals for our meeting today. Goal number 1, we're going to review your motivation to sell this house now and agree on a price that will cause it to sell. Number 2, we'll take a moment to educate you on what the process of selling your home with me today will look like, and I'll answer any questions you may have. And number 3, we'll decide today whether you choose to work with me, and I'll decide if I choose to take your listing and if I can help you. Now, on the last goal, they may ask something about that, and they'll say, you may not take my listing, right? They may even get a little offended because you're a realtor. I'm giving you a chance. I'm doing you a favor. So how would you look a gift horse in the mouth and not take my listing? How dare you, Mr. Real Estate Agent? They may say something like that. So if they comment, then all you say is, well, look, that doesn't happen a lot. For instance, and then you give them an example. You may not choose to set a price that will help your house to sell, or you may choose me to pay for marketing that I know will not help you sell your house. Fair enough. And if you want, and then you can kind of again add a little bit to it, improvise again to give you a guide. Because the way that you don't sound like a robot is that once you get comfortable with the script, at that point you're able to add your personality into it. See, the reason people sound like robots is because they never practice the script enough. They never get comfortable enough with the script to where they're now in a position to where they can add their personality into it, right? They never get there. So they just use that, oh, I don't use scripts because I sound like a robot, as an excuse to not take the time and put the energy into becoming good at their craft. But not us, not Brooks and Davis agents. We're going to put in the time and the work because we're going to make the kind of money that's possible in this business. Now, I know you all are wondering why I have these all caps in some of the sentences. Now, the reason that I have all caps in some of the sentences is because these are subliminal commands that you're giving to whoever you're speaking to. You're subliminally commanding them to do certain things. So that's why it's a part of the script, because subconsciously, your subconscious is speaking to their subconscious and giving them commands. So list your house with me. That's a command, right? Save you time. That's a command. That's a connection. Trust me. That's a command. List with me. Those are subliminal commands that you're offering to the seller to help them make a decision. Because the best thing for them to do is to choose you. So you're subliminally helping them out. Okay? So sell this house now. Agree on a price. These are things that we're going to do. Selling your home with me today. Right? Decide today whether you work with me. Take your listing. Right? These are commands. So those are 3 goals. Now look, they're the same 3 goals that are on top of your sheet. So you don't necessarily have to meet them. Memorize them, because they're going to be on your sheet when you print it out. So then we do the critical questions. So we've done the 3 goals and we see the segue into the 3 goals. And now we've done the critical questions. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have some critical questions for you. Now, and this is right after you ask the 3 goals. Right after you finish the 3 goals, we'll decide today whether you choose to work with me, and I'll decide if I choose to take your listing and if I can help you. Does that work? So I may, put in, does that work, or fair enough, or whatever. And then they're going to respond, yes. So then you go into, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I have some critical questions for you. The first question is, do you really want to sell your house? All right, now, I didn't make this orange. I'm going to make it orange now because that's not a part of the script. All right. The first question is, do you really want to sell your house? Now, you stay here until you are clear on their level of motivation. If they are not motivated to sell, then don't waste your or their time. You can't want to sell their home more than they do. All right, so this critical question will prevent you from being there all day and walking out of there without a listing. That's the worst thing that can happen, that you take 2 hours in a seller's home that's not motivated to sell their house. So now you've not only wasted your time, wasted their time, but wasted your time, and it prevented you from going to do something that was more productive. So that's why it's important that this question, you get an answer to this question that you're comfortable with before moving forward. That's why it's a critical question. It's critical. All right, the second question is, are you willing to price your house to sell? So now, at this point, you talk to them about how having the wrong price means that they don't want it to sell. They want it to sit on the market day after day after day. So that's the second question, is, are you willing to price your house to sell? So now the first one is, do you really want it to sell? That's the level of motivation. The second one is, are you willing to price your house to sell? That's important. We understand that pricing the home is extremely important. It's 25% of the success of any real estate transaction is the pricing of the home, right? There are four things that go into selling a house: price, condition, location, and exposure. So if it's only four things, 100 divided by 4 is 25. That's 1/4 of the success of selling a house has to do with price. So now it's time for you to have that conversation with them. So then here it says, if after this conversation it seems as if they are not ready, then politely thank them for their time and leave. If they are motivated or you don't quite know just yet, then continue on. So here's your out. So now, at this point, you prepared, you talk to them on the phone, you prepared, you've come, you've looked at the house, you've gone over the 3 goals, you've asked them these 2 critical questions. You may have been there all of about 15 to 20 minutes. So all of about 15 to 20 minutes, and you've been able to identify if this person is worth you staying here, or if it's time for you to just kind of cut your losses, shake the dust off your feet, and then move on. Again, that's why it's important to use the script, because if you do it consistently time after time, it allows you to be more effective. Like, effectiveness in this business is extremely key when it comes to handling volume, when it comes to making the kind of money that is possible. You have to be effective. You can't, again, just be like other agents that just show up and wing it. Like, it's not going to work. Okay? So you have that part right there to where you can leave at that moment. All right, so then you want to go to pre-qualifying. So now, once you decide, you assess if you decide or you assess that they are motivated or that you don't quite know yet, so it's worth to continue to kind of dig, then we go to the next part. So then we start pre-qualifying. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I had the opportunity to speak with you and ask a few questions to better help prepare for this evening. May I review those questions now to make certain I thoroughly understand your circumstances to sell your house? It's another one of those commands. Now, at this point, you're going to revisit the listing pre-qualifying question sheet that they answered on the initial call. Okay. Now, here's your pre-listing conversation. All right. So remember these questions? Revisit some of the questions, because see, these questions are going to give you an idea, a strong idea of level of motivation. Now, the reason that these are highlighted green, because these are the most important questions. And when you're revisiting this, you definitely want to revisit question number 3 and question number 4. So when you're here in the pre-qualifying piece and you say, okay, so now I want to thoroughly understand your circumstance, let me revisit a couple of the questions, and they say yes, go here. Now tell me again, where are you moving to? Or don't ask the question, because they would have told you already. So they say they're moving to Denver. Okay, so you're moving to Denver. Now, you told me that you need to be there by the end of the year. And they would say, yes, you need to be there by the end of the year. All right, so that gives us 2 months for you to be in Denver. Now, here's a good opportunity to bring in your transitional question that we talked about during the pre-qualifying phase and the listing. The pre-qualifying phase, an initial conversation. What would you moving to Denver do for you and your family? Or how does this move affect you and your family? What does it do for you and your family? Right, that's a good place to put that, because we're still pre-qualifying. Right? What does that do for you and your family? So he's going to tell you, again, remember, they're moving from chaos. They want to move from anarchy. They want to move from something bad. They want to move from something negative, from some circumstance. They're moving from something and they're moving to something. So they're moving to peace. They're moving to security. They're moving to a new life. They're moving towards something. And that's the case. It may not be the case for 100% of the sellers that you talk to, but it's sure enough going to be the case for 80 to 85% of the people that you talk to. The majority of people are going to be moving from something to something. That's why it's such an emotional decision, because there are so many emotions tied into either buying or selling a home. That's why it's so emotional. It touches so much of the heart and the heartstrings, that for you to successfully navigate through this process for somebody, you have to be able to walk that line between emotions and logic, between the psychology of human and the logical, the practical aspects of things. You got to be able to navigate that line between heart and transaction. Like, you got to be successfully able to do that and skilled at that, because it's such a profound move, and it's such a profound emotional connection for the people that are involved. So that's why that question is so powerful. What will this move, what will you being in Denver by the end of the month do for your family? So they're going to answer it. So then you go to the question number 5, because again, that's going to tap back into those emotions. It's going to tap back. It's going to kind of tap into that fear a little bit. What would happen if we didn't sell your house in enough time to get you in Denver by the end of the month? What would that do for your family? Like, what pain would that cause? I mean, I actually just had to use this technique yesterday, because I made mention earlier that we picked up a listing. It was all done over the phone because the person's in Dallas. And she wanted to give me 2 months to sell a house. She wanted the listing to expire December 31st. And I'm like, we're listing a house in the last quarter of the year, and then you want to cut my legs from under me when we start moving into the sweeter season of the market. I said, that's just not something I can do. And but for me and her to get on the same page, I had to ask her, like, well, why is it such a big deal for it to be sold by December 31st? Because that was her thing. Like, it needed to be sold by December 31st. And so here goes my question. What would happen if the house does not get sold by December 31st? And her issue was, she didn't want to have to pay another year of property taxes. She didn't, really it was property taxes. It was expenses. The expenses of the home going into the new year. Now, a lot of it, she didn't really understand how the process worked when it comes to paying taxes and arrears and things like that. And again, we were talking about a house that's paid off. So even if you don't pay the tax, she just didn't want to come out of pocket to pay the property taxes. Well, you don't have to pay them because you're selling a house. So even if we sell the house in February, and even if there is a penalty on the taxes being paid, so what? You're getting, it'll just be deducted out of your proceeds, right? But again, 85% of it is just education. People don't understand how the process works. So I literally just had to use this yesterday on a client. But that's why it's so powerful. So you want to definitely go back through those 3. And then, any of these questions you can use, because you just want to further solidify your understanding of their motivation. The point of the pre-qualifying questions, the point of everything that you've done to this point, is for you to assess the motivation of the people that you're sitting in front of. The initial conversation questions and script, this script, the listing pre-qualifying questions, the 3 goals, the critical questions, all of it is for you to assess their motivation, because without you understanding their motivation, there's no way that you're going to be successful in convincing them to hire you. There's no way you're going to be successful in convincing them to pay you money to do this service. It's not going to happen. The one that wins is the one that's able to assess their motivation, assess their need, get them to agree that that's what their need is, and then show themselves that they are the solution to the need. It's the rules of prospecting. Every single time, every single person, every single situation. If you become skilled at doing that, you'll get the listing every time. People think it's about the presentation, or it's about the technology, or it's about this, it's about that. Look, man, HAR sells houses, period. The internet sells houses. The internet's 1, the sign is 2. Like there is no special magic that you have as a real estate agent that gives better exposure than what is already accessible to people. So stop trying to sell your value on the marketing that you're gonna do. Oh, I'm gonna do this marketing, I'm gonna do that marketing, I'm gonna do open house, I'm gonna do flyers. Man, that is not what's selling houses. You better do your research, and you got to help the sellers understand that. That is the HAR. That's the marketplace. That's where buyers are going to find properties. They're going online. 90% of buyers go online. And then 20% of them drive neighborhoods, right? And then there's a 40% that has to do with, that has to do with the level of database and connection. But again, HAR that's what people buying houses. That's where they're going. So what you do is that you identify the need, you get them to agree, and then you offer yourself as a solution to the need, right? So that's what it's about. Okay, so now we're going to stop here for the day, because next week we're going to pick up going through the selling process, and we're going to pull out the listing presentation. Now, the listing presentation that we use is different from how other people create listing presentations, and how you may have even seen listing presentations done, or how you may have even done listing presentations. It's different. This one that we're going to talk about next week, because what most people use the listing presentation for, they use it to show the seller all the great things that person, that company is going to do, all the marketing, all the years of service, all the, like, those listing presentations are about the agent or about the realtor. What I've come to find out is that at the end of the day, the seller don't care about you and all your accolades and any of that stuff, right? So what we call our pre-listing packet is what most people use as their listing presentation. See, so we put our ego on display on the pre-listing packet, and we let them look at that in their leisure. We let them review that themselves, right? So by the time we get there, you've been able to see what we do in our track record and all that we've accomplished. You've been able to see that. I'm here now to assess and diagnose and put a game plan and a strategy to let you know what we're going to do. That's what I'm here now for. So this listing presentation is more of an educational tool to educate them on the process and how they need an agent to be a part of that process, right? That's the whole identifying the need. Every person wanting to sell their house needs an agent, period. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care what the sell by owner tell you. I don't care if they're an attorney, an engineer. I don't care any of that stuff. Everybody that's trying to sell a house or do any kind of real estate transaction needs a licensed real estate professional, period. It's just a matter of getting them to see that the right way, right? Without their pride and their ego getting hurt, especially those do-it-yourself people, especially engineers. I'm an engineer, so I get it, right? We know everything. Attorneys know everything. Doctors know everything. Like, highly intelligent people feel like they know everything and they don't need any assistance. So that's where your skill comes in, to help people navigate that thought process so they can get to the point to where you're going to need some help. So we're going to end here. Does anybody have any questions, any dialogue that they want to go through before we wrap it up? Again, these sessions are, typically between an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. I know this working with sellers piece is going to be a little long, so try to get in as much as I could today. Anybody have anything they want to discuss? No? Okay, good. I know we had some technical difficulties. I don't know what was going on with the internet today, the internet connection. We kept losing some stuff, but look, we got it worked out, and we're going to keep this thing going. So I'm going to go ahead and get my music geared up, my walk-off music. We're going to rock this thing out. Man, you guys have a great and fantastic week. I always look forward to having these sessions with you. If you have any questions, you know how to get access to me. Get access to Mr. Brooks. We'll get those questions answered. We'll get you motivated, keep you motivated, keep you educated, so you guys can make the kind of money that is available to you. Have a good week.